Okay, so just to backtrack of what I did before we kind of see what we did. So back a couple months back, we had an issue that I put in that say, hey, I there's a need where I need some roles to be able to edit the user and some not, and so that just kind of I came to myself to a conclusion that the user interface is just not very flexible at the moment with the permissions. So it kind of makes it hard if you have a unique case where you need some specific users to be able to do stuff and versus others. And also to who can see what users when you're listing a users. There's no way if you had a one permission, you basically can do absolutely everything. And just because users the security risk, I think it should be more flexible because obviously everybody have a different needs for users. So I anyway, so that's where this came from. So what I did here is I first added more permissions around the users. So if we go down here in the users, um, so you'll see a lot more permissions. Uh, for example, assign any role, assign a user's administrator role. You have a delete any users or delete the users in a specific role. Same thing for edit user, edit any user or edit user for within a specific role. Same thing for list. So now you can say, hey, I want you to be able to list all the users, but it doesn't mean you're going to be able to edit all the users. That just means that you can list them, right? And same thing, you can say, hey, I want to list all the users in a specific in a specific role. So you can see the users, but at this point you can't really do anything. Same thing here for edit, so you can edit. So so in order for you to really be able to edit here, you want to be able to edit the administration, but you also want to be able to either do this or that, so you can actually see the users. Um, and anyway, so there's also implied by where if you have edit, you automatically get to list. So similarly, if we have a delete and we have assign. So if you want a role to be able to assign a user to like contributor and editor only, then you can now. In the past, you couldn't. Um, some of you might be like, well, I don't like if you because we had an argument in the past where, well, if I can edit, I should be able to delete because what if you have a way to edit like a username? So I just want to kind of go through what some UI changes and then we'll kind of see some more. So one of the UI changes here that I added the role at the bottom. I think it just makes it easier to at glance know what roles belong to this user. And I'm logged in as admin, so I get to see every user in here. I get to delete every user. I can edit any user I want. I can add a user. So if we go and try to edit a user here, you're going to see a new thing here, which is the username is disabled. So you can't really change it. The email is editable, and someone might argue, why do we even need that? The good news that we added a setting. So now there's a new setting in the user profile. So if you click here, you can actually configure it. So you can make whichever one the username change allowed to change or prevent, or same thing for email. For this, for the argument's sake, I have it configured the other way around. So now you can prevent someone from changing their username, and it's a configuration, and it's up to the admin to determine if they want it enabled or disabled. By default, obviously, it's enabled, so we're not changing that, but they have the flexibility now. So as I mentioned, I'm logged into as an admin, and I can see all the users. As you guys can see here, I can see the admin role right here. So I'm gonna log in into a different user. I'm gonna log into moderator, and if I log in and go here, so as a moderator, I can see all the users, but I can't see admin because that's how this role is set up. So if you notice the admin, I don't see anyone within admin in here because I can't list them. I don't have that permission. I can edit those. I can delete users in author. role, but I can't delete a user in editor. Again, it's a permission. I'm just demonstrating how permissions work here. There is no logical reason behind this. So as you notice, I can't delete any of the editors. I can't delete any moderators, but I can delete author if I want. If I click add a user, I can click add a user and I can create username. I can provide username and password, and then password. And in here, I can only assign contributor or editor because those are my permissions. And as you notice, you can still provide a username in here, even though the settings disable it. We have to have it enabled when you create a user, obviously. And just for another kicks and giggles, if you go to another user, author, which has a different set of permissions than a moderator, and as you can see here, so this guy can list editors, but they can't modify, they can't edit, they can't delete, they can't do anything. I mean, it's useless, but it's there. So I have that flexibility to say, hey, I want you to be able to see them, but you can't do anything. You know, if that is your business needs, go right ahead. Orchard will allow it. And then in here, an author, so you know, here you can edit the author, so you can edit an author. And again, there's not much you can do here because you can't really, you don't have a authority to assign roles, and so really you can't really do a lot with this type of settings. But it's flexible enough to allow you to do that. I think this is all the demo. So again, it's just around the. Oh, and another issue. I believe we actually already have a problem in Orchard today. I haven't tested it, but just reading the code, if for example, if you go for some reason,
blah 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 blah.
And
be careful what you say.
I'm sorry.
Be careful what you say. If it's a security issue, you should not talk about
Oh,
it
no,
publicly.
not a security issue. It's not a security. I think we'll have an exception. So if for some reason you decided to disable the role feature, for some reason, right? It's odd, but assume that you did. I think it will break the code because the users depends on iSite service, and if that service isn't registered, we'll have a problem. So also with what I did with the code, I actually also fixed that. Anyway, that's, you guys want to look at code. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. If you like what you saw, you want me to submit in PR, I can also do that.
I have a question. First, I noted something you said. You said, because users is a security risk, it should be more flexible. Something like that. I'm like, oh, no, the opposite. Because security risk, you should not allow anything to be changed.
Not a security risk, but like, you know, there's a lot of restriction with a user, right? So there's got to be more flexibility because different business might have a different need for users around users. So that's
the flexibility. Just saying there is something, because it's security related, sometimes, no, we don't want to change that. It's too risky because by mistake, we broke something. But that's okay. I don't care about that in this case. Second comment, you can change the username email. Could you do that before?
Yes, you can change it today.
Today, before the PR is merged.
Yes, you can change it. You can change username and you can change email.
So you only added the settings, so you can't do that now.
Correct.
Okay, that's safe then. Okay.
Yeah, it's safe. It just allows you to.
Very important because we changed the way users are stored on identity, because now there is a unique identifier to prevent collisions, to prevent spoofing, and so on. So that's very important. So yes, you can have and you can have email collisions. We don't care. We just check the identity, though we check that there is no two emails on the same. But yeah, so I won't ask the second part of the question because that will just be if you answered no. Question, what if a user is in two roles like editors and admin, and you just have the permission to list editors?
Well, if you can do editor, then you can see it, or you can
Thank you.
edit it.
Same thing for delete.
Same thing.
So that's good because permissions are additive in Orchard, which means we grant them. So if we don't grant it, you don't have it. It's not like we prevent something to be done, it's we allow something to be done. So if we allow editors to be deleted, then if you're admin and an editor, we can delete you because we allowed editors. We didn't disallow admin from being edited, just allowed editors to be edited. Okay, that's good. All good. Anyone else? Ask questions? We've
Should I
talked about
submit
it.
a PR?
We have talked about the issue, right, and the design about that by the past in the triage with the dynamic things, dynamic authorization, whatever provider.
Yes.
Okay, good.